Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Chris McCabe. I'm one of the co-creators of the Seller Velocity Conference, which is coming up real soon, May 1st and 2nd in New York. And we have a new sponsor. We have Harry from Wayflyer talking to us today about different funding options that sellers and Amazon business owners have. I guess maybe just jumping right into it, Harry, you could give us a quick background on Wayflyer and maybe also how you heard about the Seller Velocity Conference. I'm not sure if I asked you that yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us, Chris. I'm excited about this
And thank you for your support, of course.
No. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yep.
So Wayflyer, who are we? We are a Irish-based company serving mostly US-based North American merchants. Overall, we have about 5,000, 6,000 clients on board, ranging in sizes from, 250K a year revenue-wise, all the way up to some sellers on our platform doing 250 million a year.
Nice.
Our main business has always been, e-commerce, always D2C, but recently I've personally started working more directly with Amazon sellers. We also have a wholesale department as well. So we're trying to really be that funding option for CPG brands all across the world. Our main product offering is to solve the working capital problem that exists within e-commerce. So we usually work a lot with sellers to help finance their inventory orders and tie it back to as much as their working capital schedules as closely as possible and help build their revenue that way so they don't have to leave any opportunities on the table.
Now, have you heard, since you're working more often these days with Amazon sellers, have you heard about all the, FBA storage fees are going up, ad costs are going up. There are so many financial challenges. I mean, I would say, even though these things are always pressing concerns, there's an unprecedented amount of unique financial challenges to an Amazon seller or business owner. Have you kind of, aside from hearing the anxiety and desperation, have you heard people coming to you with specific questions like, what exactly can you do for me right now, right away to help me survive?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
The biggest reason I've been working exclusively with Amazon sellers for the last 6 months after experience working across a whole range of e-commerce. And the biggest difference I've noticed is that the cash flow of running your own D2C website compared to running your own Amazon store is completely different.
Yeah.
So I've been working to build out a new product that's designed around that working capital challenges that exist when selling on Amazon. So for example, you only get your payouts every 2 weeks and the margin on that payout is substantially different. Whereas you usually see when you sell on your own website, you get it instantly. Obviously the big discourse of Q1 has been obviously the new fees and the main one I think that I've been helping
ad costs
solve.
too. I mean, ad costs are always going up. Yeah.
Ad costs too as well. But how the ad costs affect margin as well, I think it has been really interesting to see how few good sellers have designed strategies around that. But the low inventory fee has been a big topic of conversation because that's one that we can instantly solve because our product is designed to give you quick access to capital. Our process usually takes between 48 hours to 72 hours to get funding if we needed it as soon as possible. So we have, I know one client out of Philadelphia, I was speaking with him today, and his main motivation for working with Wayflyer is that we can give him that cash that he needs to optimize his inventory levels. So he doesn't have to worry about low inventory fees because he knows he has the funding available to top up his top selling ASINs pretty quickly from there. So
perfect example.
It's a big, that's been the main one I think I've been exposed to because buying more inventory is exactly what we are solved to do.
Yeah. And if he's in Philadelphia, hopefully you encouraged him to attend and to get a ticket too, since that's not far away.
I actually did. I don't know. This guy that works out of his basement like a lot of other sellers, so I don't know how much he knows.
Of course. Yeah, no, we still have some tickets available. Some people listening to us right now already have tickets. They just want to learn more about our sponsors, of course, who they're going to meet with in person when they're there. But if you don't yet have a ticket, once again, Seller Velocity is in New York, May 1st and 2nd. And we have lots of wonderful speakers and sponsors. And of course, we want everyone to have a high education level of exactly what you guys do, what you can offer. Are you still getting people kind of talking about inflationary economy and additional costs for everything else in their lives so that they need to strategize with you all the more and all the quicker because of it?
Yeah, I think it's the value of like using profits as well is really important. So for example, we work with a lot of sellers who may not have taken on financing before, and therefore have always put their own profits back into the machines, let's say, of Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So what our product allows you to do is we can take over those inventory orders for you on a very tight schedule that's matched up to your cycles of, let's say, if it takes you 4 or 5 months to get them in, we'll build it around your schedule. And what that does is free up your own profits now. So no longer can you afford to just run out of your profits because you have so many other fees and inflation that you need to account for.
Mm-hmm.
So by working with Wayflyer and putting it directly into your inventory, you're going to get the return that you need from your inventory with a very clear ROI, and then it frees up your profits to give that extra buffer to your own personal business or your own personal life, but also to other areas of the business as well, whether that's new product expansion or increasing your warehouse size or covering a increase in your rent probably as well. Like these are all the other expenses that I hear from sellers all the time.
For sure. And I'm curious because we hear from sellers who sometimes have to hire us to fix a problem like this, but have you heard from people who just say, Amazon put my funds on reserve? Sometimes all their funds, not just some of it. There's a mixture. Some of them, it's orders that are 14 days old or older. They're paid for those, but nothing recent. Sometimes it's 28 days old or older, that's almost a month.
Yeah.
And some people just have an indefinite reserve on their funds, which pretty much starts strangling them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, Are you hearing about these? I know I hear about them because they're not getting paid, but
we hear about it all the time. And it's almost like a paranoia almost of working with Amazon that even if it hasn't happened to you, somebody that does. So banking on that cash flow to come in and, maybe saying no to a profitable opportunity you might have with a supplier because you're fearful that you might not get a payout. That's what we try and solve. The biggest one that we see all the time is how going out of stock is really, really bad on Amazon.
Yeah.
So you have a really good ASIN that's performing very, very well, and then you go out of stock of it. Your ranking the work that you've done for the last 3 or 4 months just absolutely goes down, down. So what we try and what our best use of our product is that we found is those sellers who have a really good ASIN at the moment that's very profitable for them. And we're just helping them make sure that they don't go out of stock so that their ranking always stays low. Because especially if you're selling a product that has a lot of orders, you never know that you could sell out in a month and it might take you 4 months to replenish. So you always got to get ahead of that. Yeah.
I mean, strategizing for Prime Day, Amazon.
Q4.
Well, Q4, it goes without saying, but Amazon loves to uncork these special e-commerce holidays kind of out of the blue. I mean, Amazon likes the lightning strikes anyway. They like to surprise people, not just with what we deal with account suspensions or ASIN suspensions, but obviously they love to surprise people with random listing takedowns. That's nothing new, but with kind of everything that involves selling on Amazon, you'll get these random notices, not necessarily with a heads up, that could require a huge shift in strategy or funding or, just a complete juggling act. People for what you were saying, running out of inventory for something like Chinese New Year. I mean, people are going to have to plan 2 months earlier now for that. So
January is one of our bigger times because people place larger orders in January that they can't afford to before Chinese New Year, especially on Amazon. That's a big thing that we noticed. It's 100%.
Yeah. So they have to stockpile product. And then of course, if it's a consumable or a perishable item, Amazon has this whole thing about don't let your inventory expire, right?
Yeah.
Nothing can expire. So of course, if you're selling quickly through everything and you never run out of stock, you don't have to worry about that. But if for some reason you get mountains and mountains of stock and you're not selling through it as quickly as you thought you might, then you are having to track expiration dates much more closely, or you might have to pull that inventory out. So you're paying to ship it in, right? You know all this, but I'm just saying for the wider audience. And then you're paying for the removal orders, and then you have to sell that stock somewhere too to redeem the value of it. So it just means you have to finally calibrate everything you do around stock and inventory management and your finances, right?
Yeah. And that's the big thing that we notice actually that kind of separates us nowadays with our new product offering for Amazon is that when you look at traditional loans or traditional banking products, or even how Amazon lending before they shut down used to operate, is they would offer you a 12 or 18 month term on a very large amount of funding. And when I talked to a lot of sellers, they didn't need that much funding or they don't need that funding all at once. So what was happening was they were taking these large orders. They were either putting it all straight into inventory. They were ending up overstocked, or what was happening is they're only using half of it, and then they're paying interest and repayments on the full amount. So what our product allows you to do is you can decide exactly, we give you the maximum that you could take, but you can pick an amount that's flexible to yourself. So you could have passed for $500,000, but if you only need $250,000, you can take that $250,000 without worrying about the availability of the rest, because we'll always make that available to you. So the much more efficient use of capital, and working with providers, like all the sellers I work with are working with a tool that optimizes inventory. So it's very well planned out in terms of how much they need to buy. And we can match that pretty perfectly with the way we do it, just because it's so flexible. So it's exactly like what you mentioned there.
Yeah. I mean, this is something you're going to be talking about a lot when you're in New York. Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Any other initiatives or programs or anything coming down the pike that you wanted to make people aware of?
No, I think we're learning all the time as we continue to grow. Like it's a very interesting industry at the moment. You never know what Amazon's going to throw around the corner. I mean, at the moment, we're really preparing for Q4. Especially with the way more and more suppliers in China are demanding more upfront payments. Q4 conversations, the earlier you can start them, the better. So where I'm starting to have a lot more conversations with sellers about how do we plan out my Black Friday purchases, my Christmas purchases, especially those who operate in a more seasonal product as well. Like that's obviously a very popular in e-com. So I think the more we understand, the more we grow. And because of our product as well, our offering is based on your future revenue. So we do everything through analytics. All of our underwriting, all of our risk analysis is done through your analytics. So we can see what you did last Q4 through your analytics, and then we can predict out what you're going to do in this Q4. So we're typically able to offer 2 or 3x what a bank or traditional offering might have, because we can get so much more insight into the analytics. So building stuff around that, seeing what works for Amazon sellers, and incorporating their feedback into this new offering has been a big part of what we're trying to do. And what we have now, and as Amazon changes and evolves, we're going to continue to evolve as well.
Yeah. And the more interaction you have with different types of Amazon sellers, different categories of brands. I mean, this is what happened with me too. I mean, when I started consulting, and the hands-on experience I had with people, as opposed to like my perspective when I worked for Amazon and looked at every seller. I don't know. I looked at a lot of them kind of the same way. And then I had to realize as a consultant, you got to really appreciate the different perspectives and needs of every category of a brand owner, every size of a brand owner. And maybe in some way you're kind of going through that process yourself now too, which is sort of an interesting stage, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Very interesting. Like I've funded hundreds of brands myself, and I don't think I've ever seen two people who have the exact same process. So it's or the exact same business model or the exact same margin, so it is very, that's what kind of keeps this job interesting, is then every call or every deal I do with a client is always different, and it's always brings something new to the table, and it allows us to learn as well and feed that back into what we're doing with Amazon, so that we can make our product better and better. So as we see the common trends like the low inventory, or we see the changes in margins, or we can see how a lot of sellers were impacted by longer terms that they didn't need, and things like that. We're building all this back in, and hopefully, in 6 months, our product's better than it is now, because that's what our goal is to do.
Yeah, no, sounds great. Thanks again to Harry of Wayflyer for supporting the Seller Velocity Conference. Again, if you don't have a ticket yet, we've got a discount code we're going to include with this video, and it's May 1st and 2nd in New York. Easy place to get to, right? Now, are you, some of you are London based and some of you are based in Ireland? Or what is
I'm actually in Toronto, so I'm only
You're in Toronto.
Down. Okay. Yeah, so
you're not that far from New York.
No, and we actually have 5 other of our team are in New York as well. So we have a lot of the people like me on the onboarding new product team that are in America, with a lot of our clients, or Canada. We on the time zone. Our main HQ is in Dublin. Jack is coming from Dublin to the conference as well.
Awesome.
So he has a way deeper Irish accent than me, a way thicker West of Ireland accent than me. So you won't miss him when you're there, because he's very loud as well. So you definitely look out for the Irish guys when we're in the conference.
I live in Boston, so the more Irish accents, the merrier. Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure. That was the best part of this year's St. Patrick's Day. I managed to go to the right pub where, for whatever reason, a lot of native-born Irish were there, versus just kind of the Boston Irish that are Americans that don't really have the accent. So
true. Yep. They have the heritage. Yeah.
I chose the right place. But anyway, we're looking forward to meeting you in person. Looking
Me
forward
too.
to seeing everyone at Seller Velocity. It's coming up quick. Any questions on this or any questions for Harry or for Wayflyer, please let us know. And yeah, thanks again for your support. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Chris. Excited to meet everybody.